So let's go and play with some of those things. github.com Hokaram intro Java. Oops. Yay. Module 1. Let's talk about the very basics. You program in a programming language, in our case is Java. It looks somewhat like English, but like a very special version of English. You probably have seen some of it, but now computers only understand machine language. They don't understand Java, right? And each actually different computer understands a somewhat different machine language. A Raspberry Pi uses an ARM architecture, so it doesn't understand the same machine language as an x86 computer, and actually x86 are the old ones, x64 are the new ones, and they don't understand exactly the same machine language, right? So you need somebody to translate that stuff, and that is called a compiler. A compiler translates that program from Java into the machine language for your computer. Java actually went a slightly different route. The compiler from Java compiles it to the JVM, which is a virtual machine. That JVM is the exact same. The actual language, you will create a class file, and that is exactly the same on a Raspberry Pi or on a server or wherever you are. And then the JVM actually takes that thing and interprets it or compiles it for your actual machine. So Java is portable in that sense. As long as you have a virtual machine, a JVM on your computer, you'll be able to run any Java program. We have text editors, right? In Windows, you tend to use our trusty and horrible Notepad, right? Actually, don't use Notepad, but in a pinch, you have to. You can use Notepad++. I actually tend to now install it since I'm here. Visual Studio Code is my simple text editor. It works. It does what I need it to do, and it works for Windows, Linux, and Macs. And I work on all three platforms, so it's good to have something that works all over. Yes, and we'll have it. Oh well, maybe it will eventually install, right? Text editors let you edit text. You don't use something like Word for writing programming languages because Word is a word processor, and so it will mangle your actual text, right? Then you will use a compiler, Javac, to translate that text into something that the machine can actually understand. The Java compiler is called Javac. Our files in Java ought to have the Java extension, so something like hello.java, and the compiled thing is hello.class. We will not be using Java directly, we'll be using Gradle for the most part. The Javac directly, the Javac compiler. There are actually a couple of nice sites, Java REPL and CodingBat, and I have the wrong thing for Java REPL because I'm terrible, because they want the www. Hopefully I will update this link. It is a Java REPL. You can actually type Java expressions and it will interpret them and tell you their value, and that is wrong. 3 plus $sign is not a valid statement, but 3 plus 4 is 7. And we are gonna see. And CodingBat gives you problems that you need to solve. And what happened? Oh God. No, it was working yesterday. it is codingbad.com. I need to fix my links, and so that gives you oodles of problems for you to solve. And we'll do a few in a second. Normally you don't do that, but these are good for doing something for a few minutes when you don't have your actual machine with the IDE. As a programmer, you will leave programming a good chunk of the time, and so you want kind of a more specialized thing than a text editor. Those are called integrated development environments. They basically have a text editor with nice syntax highlighting for your language. They may have autocompletion. They may have nicer ways to running tests and nicer ways to running your programs and starting them and all of that stuff. They're called IDEs, integrated development environments. There are some educational IDEs that you may have encountered, like Dr. Java and JGrasp. The professional ones for Java are Eclipse, NetBeans, and IntelliJ IDEA. All of them are available for free. Eclipse and NetBeans are open source. IntelliJ is open source-ish. You can get a version for free. I think you can get some of the source code, but they'll sell you a version if you want more features and more things. For this class, I chose Eclipse just because all three of these are good. You could go with either one. It's just Eclipse is one of them. So I will be using Eclipse and showing how to use Eclipse. Feel free to use something else if you already know it. If not, I would strongly recommend that you use Eclipse for this class, and later on, when you have chance, when you have time and you already know some about programming, go play with these other guys and decide which one do you want to do. When we are writing programs, when we're writing complicated programs, we will have not just one file, but several dozens of files. And so we need to figure out how to compile them and how to orchestrate that compilation. The old program that did that 20 years ago was called Make, and people still use it. It's old in the sense that it's been around a long time, not that nobody uses it. There are a couple of similar things, and we tend to use make as a verb. There's 2 or 3 more for Java. There is Ant, Maven, and now Gradle that are popular. We'll be using Gradle. Why? Because when you deal with programs, when you deal with text or with any kind of document, you want to control your versions. You want to keep track of the things that you have done. When you're doing it alone, you normally save your file with an extra name, right? So you have program 1, program 2, program 3, or program 1A, program 1B, right? Those kinds of things to keep track of what you have done, and you can go back, and you normally confuse yourself doing this. Computers are very good at keeping track of that stuff and not confusing themselves, so we came up with version control systems. Git is one of the newer ones, and it works fairly well, so we'll be using Git for that. And Bitbucket is a free service that provides Git repositories. That's what we call them. Actually, they're even nice and provide a kind of unlimited version for education. So that's what we are using, and that's what I will be creating the repos on. That's what you will use. You can, you are actually asked to create your account, and so you can do it. It's free for you. There is a limit to something like 5 people on a team or something like that. Other than that, it is completely free. The repo that I'm creating for you will be private. You can create private repositories that nobody can see, or public ones. GitHub is another common Git server, and they tend to be free only for public repos. So it's good for putting your portfolio, but it's not as nice for a class where I don't want you to share your code with the next person. I am assuming that you have installed the JDK Git client like Git Bash and Eclipse, and you have created your Bitbucket account.